Hi everybody. Well, here we are again to do another live menopause workshop. Tonight's going to be about sleep problems, and I'm feeling a little bit more relaxed this week. I was a bit nervous last week and was reading a lot of stuff off, but I'm hoping tonight it'll be a little interactive and that we can really get some good interaction going with some questions. I haven't had tons of questions from you guys so far, so just feel free as we're going along to type some in the chat. I may well not notice them during my presentation, but at the end I'm going to go back through and just scroll through and make sure that I get everybody's questions. So while you're coming online, feel free to just wave and say hi to me or make a comment in there to let me know that you're watching. So yeah, let's get into it pretty quickly. Tonight I'm going to give a presentation about sleep problems in menopause. That was the number one topic that was voted on for this week. So sounds like a lot of people are interested in that. Now I'm going to just cover off firstly on what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to read you my little disclaimer statement first up, as always, just to let you know that, as always, this information is just for informational purposes only. It doesn't represent any kind of individualised medical advice. For that, you need to have an individual relationship with your doctor or general practitioner. So definitely just for information today. So first up, I'm going to cover a few statistics about sleep problems and also what those can lead to in the community. We're going to talk about what the reasons are for those sleep problems and what things can contribute to them, how it's diagnosed, and the thing that everyone wants to know about is how it can be treated. And then right at the end, I'll cover off on any questions that have come in during the presentation. Okay, so back to me. So to start with, I just wanted to let you know what resources I've used to refer to for tonight's presentation. So I've used a couple of different studies, mainly this one here, this one entitled Sleep Problems During the Menopausal Transition, which is like a meta-analysis. It's where they've put together all the information from a bunch of different studies. And I've also used a bit of information from the Australasian Menopause Society's information sheet on sleep disturbance during the menopause. Now, I'm going to be writing a blog article and putting it up, and it will have all this information. It's going to have all of the links that I discuss, all the references will be available on that blog article. So if you're not already subscribing to WellFem, please go to the bottom of the web page, hit subscribe, and then you'll be able to get the newsletters with all of the updates and all of the blog articles in them. All right, so no wonder it was such a popular topic for discussion. The statistics show that various different studies show up to 60% of women are experiencing sleep disturbances at some point during the menopausal transition. The rates before menopause are about half that. So it's a really significant upswing at perimenopause in sleep problems. Around about a quarter of women are having quite severe symptoms that are affecting their daily functioning and qualifying them for actually the diagnosis of an insomnia disorder. And the results of that, of course, are adverse mental and physical health and, reduced functioning in the workplace, less ability to function in all aspects of their daily living. So it can be quite debilitating. So just talking about what menopause actually is, I know we covered off on it during the HRT presentation as well, but this just shows the transition phases. So this is the reproductive years, this is the menopausal transition years, roughly from 47 to 51, and then postmenopausally after the age of 51. And you can see you get gradual decline in estrogen. If only it looked like a beautiful slide like that. Reality is it's more like, whoops, up and down and up and down. Let me just go back. Previous. I was getting a bit excited there and clicking ahead. So it's all up and down, which is why we get hot flushes and all sorts of uncomfortable feelings. Follicle stimulating hormone is this line here. So when the eggs aren't being developed and you're not ovulating regularly, then follicle stimulating hormone starts to rise to try and flog your ovaries into ovulating. But after a while, you just run out and it doesn't work. So this is what I wanted to show you, is the different things that happen in the different times with regards to sleep. So this is the odds ratio on the side here. What that means is that in the early menopausal transition, that's, you know, sort of around 47 or when your peri starts to hit, you start to go over what you would have been pre-menopausally in terms of all the aspects here: difficulty falling asleep, waking up during the night. And then by late menopausal transition and postmenopausally, you're about twice as likely, as you can see here, to experience all those problems. Over here, though, the women who have a sudden or surgically induced menopause, as you can see, up to 3 times more difficulty falling asleep than they had when they were premenopausal. That really sucks. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the causes of these things. There's me. Okay, so sleep disorders is a big one. You know, we can't rule out the fact that you can just have a primary sleep disorder, obstructive sleep apnea, some kind of disorder of your circadian rhythm, your body clock, literally. Some people have restless legs or movement disorders, so there's a lot of actual sleep disorders that cause these sleep problems. But we do know that sleep difficulties are uniquely linked with the menopausal stages, as I showed you just on the graph previously, and to the stage and change in hormones. And that's independent of even culture in different countries. They've noticed that effect. As I said earlier, the sudden or earlier onset menopause is associated with more severe symptoms as well. Interestingly, though, the strongest predictor of whether you're going to have menopausal and perimenopausal sleep problems is having a history of premenopausal insomnia. So basically what that's saying is that if you've always been a bad sleeper, that's a really big marker that you're going to have difficulties during the perimenopause and menopausal stages as well. In terms of contributors, there is an enormous list. And hello, Jodie, nice to see you there. It's good to know I've got someone watching. Okay, as a lot of women know, hot flushes can be a huge contributor to sleep problems, hot flushes and night sweats, and many of those are associated with either waking up or having wakefulness. Hi, Tanya Marie, good to see you as well. Now, that's not to say that all hot flushes are associated with waking or that all periods of wakefulness are associated with hot flushes, but we do know overall that hot flushes correlate quite strongly with poor sleep. Depression, anxiety correlates really strongly with sleep disorders and sleep problems, and you could wonder whether that's actually cause or effect. Are they sleeping poorly because they're depressed, or are they depressed because they're sleeping poorly? You know, I would argue that probably it goes a little bit both ways there. Other contributors are things like other sleeping disorders, as we've already kind of touched on there. If you're a snorer, you're waking yourself up snoring, or you're stopping breathing every once in a while with sleep apneas, those sort of things are all going to contribute to poor quality of sleep. And that SDB there stands for sleep disordered breathing, which increases with age, you know, regardless of your stage in menopause. Obesity. So we know that people who are obese have higher rates of snoring and sleep disturbances, and they have more difficulty breathing in general, because, as you can imagine, having a heavier chest makes it more difficulty when you're unconscious, more difficult to be able to shift the weight of your chest up and down for breathing, so it's easier to stop breathing in sleep. Oh, and I should say also, a lot of people have probably heard this, but extra weight around the neck and extra fat around the tongue and neck also contributes to sleeping and breathing problems. I mentioned earlier movement disorders like restless legs, and interestingly, there are a lot of treatments for that. You know, many people tell me that they've got restless legs as part of their whole spectrum of sleeping problems. G'day, Kira, nice to see you as well. Yeah, movement disorders like restless legs actually have some good medical treatments available for them. So definitely have a chat to your GP if that's happening as well. Caffeine. We all know that caffeine can contribute to sleep problems, or caffeine can keep you awake. So, some people are overdoing that. Alcohol also ruins your quality of sleep. A little bit, not so much, but certainly over drinking on alcohol can really cause difficulty staying asleep and getting good quality sleep. Stress. If you're very, very stressed, wound up, if your mind's whirling 100 miles an hour, if you're concentrating and thinking about your problems when you're trying to sleep, that's not going to help. Obviously, chronic disease and pain, anything that's hurting you physically or affecting you when you're trying to sleep, is going to make things worse. Also, what's the room like that you're sleeping in? Is it a calm, soothing environment? Is it quiet? Is there low light? Do you have a nice, comfy mattress? Is the person sleeping next to you snoring like a bulldozer, or moving around all night? Or do they have restless legs? Environmental factors, as I just mentioned, all contributes to the quality of your sleep. Behavioural factors are huge, and those are some of the really big ones that we need to address if there's going to be any chance at all that you're going to be able to improve. Oh, I'm covering over some of my words there, I'm sorry about that. So behavioural factors such as viewing screens right up to bedtime, the screens emit a blue light which is deeply stimulating to the brain, so that's really going to help keep you awake at night time. Having erratic sleep and wake times, not getting sufficient exercise, all those sort of behavioural things are going to make a difference to your quality of sleep. Now, that's probably not so relevant to us at the moment. What I was going to say with respect to diagnosis of sleeping problems is that there are some really good screening tools available. There's a sleep apnea screening tool called Stop Bang, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm going to put a link to that in the blog article that I'm writing as well. So again, watch out for the blog article on the WellFem page or in the newsletter, and you'll be able to get a hold of some of these screening tools if you want to have a go at doing them for yourself. There's also something called the Epworth Sleepiness Scale, which helps to sort of helps to diagnose whether you've got sleepiness in a prevalent way that's affecting your functioning. And there's another one called the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index, which is supposed to help gauge the quality of the sleep that you are getting. Now, so I'm going to talk a little bit about treatments now, and I am going to refer to my notes a little bit just so that I don't miss anything, because I know that you're all dying to know about the different treatments that are available. But I'm going to preface this by saying in the study, the main study that I was referencing there, that they made this statement. No matter what precipitating factors for insomnia are, behavioural conditioning and sleep-associated behaviours may prolong insomnia. These behaviours need to be addressed in order to treat insomnia successfully. So basically they're saying forget about everything else in terms of medical treatments or things that you're looking for there. If we don't address the behavioural things, the behavioural conditioning and the behaviours around sleep that are being unhelpful and undermining your ability to sleep, then you won't have any success. So the first thing is to identify and treat the contributing factors. Now I'm just going to go back to the previous slide there, even with me over the top of it. So just flashing back over these contributing factors again, any of these things that you've got need to be identified and treated before you're going to have good quality sleep. So that means, treat the hot flushes, lose weight, see a sleep specialist to get a CPAP machine if you've got, sleep apnea, if you're not breathing properly during your sleep. We need to optimise the treatment of your depression and anxiety, and any other chronic conditions or chronic pain need to be treated. So identify those contributing factors, talk to your GP, and make sure that they're properly managed if you're to have any hope at all of being able to get a good night's sleep. Now I'm going to talk about sleep hygiene. You've probably heard this before. Basically, it just means factors around sleep that help to set you up for a good night's sleep. Now, I'm going to go through a bit of a list here because there's a few things that we can do. Number one, keeping to regular sleep and wake times. Your body thrives on routine, so it's really important that you say, okay, I want to be at sleep between 11 and 6. That's the aim. You're not going to get there every day, but at least if you know what the aim is, you can gear everything up around those times. Don't ignore tiredness either. If you're sleepy, take the cues from your body and go to sleep. Don't go to bed though if you're not feeling tired, even if it is 11 o'clock. If you're actually wired and you know you're going to have Buckley's chance of getting any sleep, the best thing's going to be just to go and do something soothing, read, play some soft music, meditate, whatever. Don't do anything too stimulating, but there's no point going to bed and then just lying there worrying about the fact that you're still awake. Also, same, if you've tried to go to bed, you're still awake in 20 minutes, then just go, fine, accept that, hop out of bed, go and do something else for a little while, and then come back and try again, rather than getting yourself too wound up and worried about it. Right, getting some early morning sun exposure is really important. You may have heard of the circadian rhythms. The circadian rhythms have to do with hormone secretion like melatonin, which is secreted in your brain to help you prepare for sleep. And there are receptors through your eyes and into your brain for light, which helps to set that day-night sleep-wake cycle. So really important to get out in the sun, maybe go for a nice walk early in the morning. Fix up the environment, make sure it's not too hot, that you've got a good quality mattress and pillow, that there's low light and not too much noise. Also, reserve the bed just for sleeping and for having sex or intimate relations. Other than that, don't be using it as a workspace or other things like that, because, you're just conditioning your body and your mind to be doing other activities there other than sleeping. So we want that association of the bed with sleep primarily. Of course, you can avoid or limit the amount of alcohol you're using. Give up the cigarettes, obviously, I'm going to say that, but actually nicotine is very much a stimulant. And also limiting the caffeine that you have, particularly from midday, and that includes cola and chocolate. So no having that dark chocolate just before bed. Avoid napping during the day, because people will say they have to have their naps because they're so tired and they haven't had enough sleep. But if you limit the nap time during the day, you're going to be more tired and you're going to be more ready for sleep at night time, at the proper bedtime. So definitely limit and avoid any daytime napping. Also, as I mentioned, avoid screen time within 90 minutes of bedtime. That blue light particularly is a problem. So even if you have to use devices in the evening, see if they've got a red shift function so that you can red shift and the light is less stimulating to your brain. And if you don't have a function on your device, you can download apps like Flux, that's F.LUX, Flux, which can redshift the screen for you, but don't use that as an excuse to keep working too late. You should still stop screen time 90 minutes before bed. Also, get a Kindle rather than reading books off your iPad for the same reason. Kindles don't have backlighting that stimulates your eyes. Avoid stimulating activities and vigorous exercise close to bedtime. A lot of my ladies say, I definitely don't get any stimulating action just before I go to sleep, but that's a whole nother workshop that we'll do later on. Also, you could try a warm bath or a warm milky drink before bed. Both of those things are very soothing. And something that you may have heard of is to practice mindfulness meditation or breath work to help relax your body. And also my friend Kira, who's watching, has given us a beautiful sheet with some stretching exercises. She's an exercise physiologist, which I'll also make available to you through the blog. Okay, so just talking briefly about the natural and behavioural sleep enhancers. Number one of these that's been shown to be successful is cognitive behavioural therapy, which can be taught to you by a psychologist, but there are also some apps available. I'll try and find a good one for you, some apps available that can help with cognitive behavioural therapy around sleep. There are other interventions that show some modest benefit, including high-intensity exercise, not just before bed though, yoga, and even soy isoflavones apparently have some limited evidence. There's limited evidence for herbal remedies as well, and I'm going to show you a slide here, which is an extract from I think it's from the Sleep Health Foundation, but I'll clarify that for the blog. So that's this one here. So as you can see, these are herbal preparations which have some evidence for efficacy, although it's not overly convincing, I have to say. I did find a paper which talks about melatonin, which has been found to have benefit in the treatment of circadian sleep disorders. And personally, I find about 50% of ladies that try melatonin get some good benefit from it. Valerian's also been shown to improve sleep in some studies, but there's a lot of variability in the extractions and formulations depending on where you get it from, so it can be a bit unreliable. Other therapies that have shown promise in a limited number of studies include acupuncture, acupressure, yoga, meditation, and Tai Chi. And you know, one of the most effective natural remedies I know of is a set of earplugs, particularly if you have a partner who snores a bit. So yeah, so there's a lot of things that we can try, which are either behavioural things or natural type options. I'm going to talk a little bit now to finish up with the medical options because, you know, as I mentioned earlier, if you've got underlying chronic conditions or particular medical problems that are interfering with your sleep, you're going to have to treat those to be able to get a good night's sleep. So, of course, one of the biggies is hot flushes, as we are aware, hot flushes which can disrupt your sleep, or you wake up and then you feel hot and you get your hot flushes. So make sure that the hot flushes are well treated, perhaps with HRT or one of the non-medical options. So talk to your GP or a menopause doctor about those. For women who are on HRT, particularly if you're on micronized progesterone, which goes under the trade name Prometrium, that's been shown to be sedating when taken orally at night time. So there's an added bonus if you do need to or want to use Prometrium. Also, the SSRI antidepressants and things like gabapentin, which are also alternative treatments for hot flushes, are good for treating mood and also insomnia as well. So some of these medications can cover off on a few of your issues at the same time. You can be treating your mood disorder and helping to get a better night's sleep with some of them. Another one of those is a new drug called agomelatine, or it's been around for a few years now, and it's an alternative form of antidepressant, which is a similar molecule to melatonin. It goes under the trade name of Valdoxan here in Australia, and it's a sort of a gentler form of antidepressant that has a lesser range of side effects for a lot of people, so not so much of the sexual dysfunction or weight gain and things like that, and it also has a nice sedative effect when taken at night. So for people who do want to take some form of antidepressant, that might be one to consider. Now, I've already mentioned melatonin. The best preparation in Australia is the medical strength preparation, which needs to be prescribed by a doctor. It goes under the trade name of Circadin. And you basically just take that one in the evening about the time you want to go to sleep, maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes before you want to go to sleep. So I would recommend just doing your good sleep hygiene routine going, and then taking it just as you're getting dozy and ready for sleep to help you go off to sleep. But yes, it can be quite effective, I find, in about 50% of cases of women who try it. Another one that you could try for either sleep or sleep plus mood issues is an old-fashioned drug called amitriptyline, which has been around for a really, really long time. Now, it's an old-fashioned tricyclic antidepressant, which even in low doses has nice sedative effects, and in higher doses can also be effective, quite effective, in fact, for anxiety and a range of other things. But as with all of these type of medications that are centrally acting, they do come with a particular range of side effects that you need to discuss with your doctor, and these side effects are generally dose dependent, so you're less likely to have them in lower dose use of the medications. As I mentioned previously, there's also medications for restless legs and for movement disorders. And I find for restless legs particularly, it's quite good to use some sort of neurological distraction technique. It could be as simple as having your partner stroking your back for you while you're lying on your side, if you're lucky enough to have one that will do that. You know, and it literally kind of distracts your nervous system from, you know, the actions of the legs. So there's also a range of you know, other things to do if you're bored. If you're getting the symptom of restless legs when you're bored, you can just actually do something like Sudoku or something to distract you. So I did want to say too, to avoid the short-acting benzodiazepine medications like temazepam. They might be all right when you're traveling on an international flight, but you don't want to get in the habit of using any kind of you know, typical sleep tablet like a benzo for every night use. They are drugs of dependence. You do get dependent on them, and you find that you have to escalate use to get the same effect after a while. Same with Stilnox and other drugs like that. They do come with a range of unpleasant side effects potentially, so do approach them with caution and talk about it very carefully with your GP before you go using anything like that. So I'm finishing up now, and hello Michelle and Danielle, nice to see you guys here as well. And by the way, if anyone who's listening at the moment has thought of any questions, feel free to pop it into the chat now. I haven't got really a lot of questions today, so I'll just keep on talking a bit longer. But if you do think of a question, feel free to pop it in, or even post it later on and I'll get round to it after the fact. Just to finish up though, I'm going to, as I said, write a blog. I'm going to include all of these resources, links to the diagnostic tools, I'm going to include Kira's pre-sleep exercise sheet, also a whole list of resources you might like to try as well. There are a great range of electronic resources out there that can help people with cognitive behavioural therapies, with mindfulness meditation, with calming, relaxation, breath work, and you know, a bunch of really good stuff. So I'll give you some links to some of those. There's a bunch of written resources I'm going to put links in for, including information sheets from the Australasian Menopause Society, the Sleep Health Foundation, Jean Hales, even the Better Health Channel in Victoria. But other resources, of course, include your GP, therapists, psychologists, hypnotists, sleep specialists. So, you know, do talk about that with your GP or your menopause doctor, which could include me if you like. So that's it. That's where I'm going to finish up for today. I just wanted to give you a bit of a cook's tour. I don't like to rabbit on much more than about 20 minutes or so because everybody gets bored with it, but it might help you sleep, right? So, yeah, if anyone thinks of any questions, please post now. Otherwise, I'll call it quits. And then if you think of something later, feel free to just post it in the post when it comes up on WellFem's Facebook page. I don't think I had any more slides to show you. Nope, that's the end of the slideshow. Well, I think that's it, everybody. I'm really pleased that you could join us and watch the presentation, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it on the post afterwards. I'd love to try and help you out with your sleep problems and your menopausal issues. Please subscribe on the bottom of WellFem's website. Oh, Jody wants to know about magnesium for sleep. Yeah, look, I haven't seen any evidence for that. It wasn't something that was particularly mentioned when I went through the evidence for the complementary and herbal medicines. But how about I get back to you on that one, Jody? I'll reply to you on a post about that. So thank you all again for everybody watching, and I'll get back to Jody on the magnesium issue. But yes, as I was saying, subscribe to my newsletters at the bottom of the WellFem website page, and then you'll be able to view the blog. You'll be able to get the newsletters with the blog articles in them, and that'll include all these resources. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Hope you get a wonderful sleep. Okay, bye.